the Green Bay Packers have really created a really, good, I'd say amazing secondary, and they also have already an amazing defensive line. And if you put two and two together, that makes a really good defense. And let me just get into it. So you have Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, Devontae Wyatt, and then for the edges, you have Rashawn Gary and Kingsley. And at middle linebacker, you have Edgerrin Cooper, Eric Wilson, and Quay Walker. And at DB, you have Jair Alexander, Corey Ballantyne, Eric Stokes, and Carrington Valentine. They're pretty good corners, I'd say. I do think, in addition, obviously at that free safety position, they got Xavier McKinney. I'd go as far to say he's one of the best, free safeties there is in the league. And with the Packers' new defensive coordinator, I do think things will be looking good in the better direction. And so let's get into their stats. Last season, Quay Walker with 2.5 sacks, Preston Smith with an impressive 8, and more impressive Rashawn Gary with 9 sacks, Kenny Clark with 7.5 sacks, Devontae Wyatt with 5.5 sacks. Lucas Van Ness, in his first rookie year, he had 4 sacks. That's pretty good work all around on the defensive line. And to take a look at the secondary, Quay Walker got 1 interception, Keyshawn Nixon got 1 interception, Corey Ballantyne with 1 interception, and then Jair Alexander with 1 interception. So, the secondary didn't do too good, but you also couldn't say it's the worst. And that's really mainly because, that secondary really stepped up in the end half of the season and in the postseason when they played the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. And so, this defense, let's see what teams they go up against, because I know the Packers' schedule is pretty rough. And so week 1, they play the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I do think that will be a tough one. I do think it'll also be a shootout, and I do think it will be a loss. So they start 0-1, but they play the Indianapolis Colts week 2. I think they take that 1-1. Week 3, they play the Tennessee Titans. Starting to get pretty much easier. I see a dub. They start 2-1. Now the Minnesota Vikings. Now, each year for the Packers, I'm a Packers fan myself, so I already know. We kind of split the series, and, the Minnesota Vikings usually win in Lambeau Field, so I'm going to give them the win here. We start off the season 2-2, kind of shaky. We play the Rams. I think we advance in week 5 to 3-2. The Cardinals, 4-2. And so week 7, we play the Houston Texans. I do think that it will be a tough one. It also depends on the Texans, how they're playing. I do see a win, though. So 5-2, Jacksonville. Next week, week 8, I do see a win. So they advance to 6-2. But the week right after, week 9, we play the Detroit Lions. And I'm going to go ahead and give the Detroit Lions the win. The Packers fall to 6-3 to the bye, week 10. Week 11, they play the Chicago Bears, 7-3. San Francisco 49ers, I do think it'll be a shootout, but much like the Philadelphia Eagles game, I do think we will lose. So at this point, the Packers are 7-4. They play the Miami Dolphins. They're going to be at home Thursday night. It's already basically December. It's going to be cold. I'm giving the Packers the win solely because, the Dolphins can't really play in the weather. So they're 8-4. The Detroit Lions, I do think they win because they're at Ford Field. It's just like that for any NFC North team. That just kind of, happens. So they advance to 9-4. Week 5, Seattle Seahawks, 10-4. The New Orleans Saints, 11-4, Week 16. Minnesota Vikings, I do think we win. That gives us 12-4. And at this point, I feel like we basically win the NFC North at this point. Now, I don't know if the Packers would be contending for, the first seed in the NFC. So, at this point, they're 12-4. That's what I'm predicting. And so they're most likely battling for the first seed. So I'm going to go ahead and say they're starting their starters Week 18 against the Chicago Bears at home. And I'm giving them the win, making them 13-4. That's interchangeable. You could give them some losses, again, to the Seattle Seahawks, Miami Dolphins, Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans. But those are also lots of toss-ups when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. But also with a high-powered offense in Jordan Love, and also that backfield, you have A.J. Dillon, Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed, Devontae Wicks, Bo Melton. I do believe Christian Watson will show out if he does not get injured. And so with a high-powered offense of that caliber, I do think they could definitely run up some points against other teams. And that's why this video was mainly focused on the defense, because the offense is already I'd say. So it all comes down to the defense. Defense is looking good, though. Obviously, Javon Bullard was drafted, and he's a pretty good safety, I'd say. And so there's a lot to look forward to during this up-and-coming season, Packers fans. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It sure does help a lot. And peace.